Hello, as I told you yesterday, today I'm going to start part two of my daily routine for trumpet. And again, I'd like to remind you this routine is available on PDF if you email me at vin@atouchofjazz.com. And you could get it from me for 40 bucks if you think this will be any help to you. And again, I'm going to continue with part two, which is lip drills. And it starts with a buzz. And then you add your trumpet to it this time. So I'm going to show you the patterns I use. I'm going to go up pretty high. I'm going to go up to about a double high C. Sometimes it comes out well for me. Sometimes it sounds pretty thin. And I want to advise you, if you're doing these exercises at home and you purchase my system, that if you get to a point with the higher parts where you're using excessive pressure or pushing too hard or really feeling a lot of strain on your lips, you should stop. It's best on notes that are hard to attain to try to play them softly or squeak them at first. And then after you get used to squeaking them, then you could go trying to get a better sound on them. But here's part two, lip drills. Okay? I use a very wide jaw vibrato for these exercises. And the purpose of that is to find or let your lips naturally find the most open part of your sound. Now, I wouldn't use this type of vibrato on a gig unless you're playing in a Lawrence Welk or a Guy Lombardo alumni band, but normally you would not use a vibrato like that in most other styles of music, especially in jazz. Okay? So I'm going to keep going. It's going down the overtone system. Open, second, now first. And I try not to blow harder on the high notes. I mean, sometimes you have to. We're not robots, but I try to keep the air as steady as possible because I want to feel relaxed when I'm playing up high. I don't want to feel like I have to use everything I have. It's like driving a car. If you drive it with the pedal to the metal all the time, you're going to blow your engine. And if you blow as hard as you can all the time, even to play high notes, you're going to blow your lip, or you're not going to last the entire night, or you're going to play out of tune. So you want to try and keep a steady airstream. Like I said, we're not robots. Sometimes you have to push. I'm not saying you should play like you're afraid of your trumpet, but the key is to try and keep as much control as you can, especially for the exercises. On a gig, you have to do what you have to do to get the job done, obviously, but you should strive for this. The best lead players play nice and easy. They don't blast as loud as they can. And again, same concept, rest as long as you play. Now we're going second and third valve. Okay, that was part A. Now we're going to go to part A. I'm going to go gradually higher and higher until I reach a double high C. And again, I'm breathing through the nose. For this exercise, I think it's beneficial. Some people breathe through the nose when they play on gigs, and that's fine if it works for you. If it doesn't work, Relax your corners and breathe through the corners of your mouth. The key is not to have to adjust your embouchure too much when you're taking a breath, because if you do, and you go to take a breath, chances are you're going to miss a note. Like, you want to have it set nice and easy so you get a nice, clean, pure sound. Okay, here's part B. I'm starting with the overtone system, but this time I'm just starting with 1 and 2, and I'm going to work my way up the overtone system. So now I'm going to go to first valve. And buzzing on the mouthpiece first and then adding the horn helps you to open up your sound, to relax your sound. Remember, you can't rely on the trumpet to make the sound. Now, obviously, some trumpets are going to play easier than other trumpets, and some trumpets play more in tune than other trumpets. But overall, the sound has to come from here and from your lungs, because it's all air and embouchure. And if you could control that, even if you're playing on a trumpet that's maybe not so great, you're going to have better control than you would if you didn't work this way. So you want to let the lips create the sound, and then it's easier to adjust, like I said last time. Second valve now. I tend to not use as much of a jaw vibrato as I get higher, because the notes are closer together and it's easy to change pitches. You could do it without even moving your fingers. So that's why I'm not using as wide of a vibrato on the higher notes. But on the low notes, I try to use a lot of vibrato so that I could really open up my sound. But I would never do that playing with a band, because it's just sort of a crazy sound. Unless you're doing a Lawrence Welk or Guy Lombardo alumni band again. But who wants to do that? I missed a note there. I think God was punishing me for making fun of Lawrence Welk and Guy Lombardo. Anyways, part C, we're going to start 1 and 2 again. And then relax. Always rest as long as you play. Get the blood circulating. This isn't supposed to hurt your lips. It's supposed to build them up. If you want to build up stamina, practice orchestral etudes and characteristic etudes. That way you keep the horn on your face and it builds up your technique and your stamina. But for this, we're just working on getting our embouchure set for the high notes, as well as getting a nice tone in general. And getting back to Lawrence Welk and Guy Lombardo, I don't want to overdwell on this, especially Lawrence Welk. Like, if you ever saw some reruns of the Lawrence Welk show, I'm not making fun of the musicians. He had some of the best musicians in the country. I'm making fun of the music. So, I'm not, don't get offended about the musicians, because some of those guys are really great players. They were all studio players, I'm pretty sure. But, sometimes anything for a buck, right? Open now. Okay, now we're going to part D. Now it's getting a little bit higher. This is where you need to use really, reasonable caution. I don't want you to be afraid to push your lips, but if it seems extreme, if it seems like it's really hurting, or you're pinching and you're playing really tight, or you're forcing with a lot of pressure or overblowing, it might be a good time to stop and eventually build yourself up to this. But here's part D. That was first and second valve again. Now I'm going to move on up the overtone to first valve. And again, especially up here, rest as long as you play. And again, louder isn't going to make the high notes come out better. Sometimes when you overblow, you miss the note. And what you need to do is just keep the air steady. I'm not saying you shouldn't speed up the air a little bit for the high notes. Sometimes keep the air steady, but you could arch your tongue to speed up the air because it makes the opening smaller. So just really focus on a steady airstream. And again, if you're pushing too hard, I can't emphasize enough, take your time, take a break, go back to it the next day, and eventually you'll get the notes out. But if you start forcing them and developing bad habits in order to make the notes come out, it's going to do more harm than good. Okay, second valve. And now we're going to go to open. Now, part E is the part you really have to exercise extreme caution. If you're a younger player and you're not used to doing this, don't force it. Let nature take its course. Practice on playing well. Practicing high notes. A lot of people want to practice high notes in order to play high notes. If you're not practicing everything else you're supposed to practice, you're not going to get the high notes out. And if you do, you're going to sound like someone that's not a very musical player. So take your time here. If you can't hit these notes, don't hit them. If you can't get them out clear, maybe try squeaking them out. But if you're using excessive force or pressure, stop. Okay, here's the first one, first and second, again, starting on a high A. And I'm not a double C player. I'm basically a lead player up to a high G. I play these notes for practice, mostly to make my high G come out. Lately, my double high C has been coming out better than normal, but I still want to play it on the job. I'm hoping maybe before I die, I'll have that type of control, but right now I don't, and I don't force it because, like I said, the high notes will come if you're doing everything else right. But if you force them, you're going to go backwards. You're not going to go forward. So always be very careful up here. Okay, first valve starting on a B flat. See, sometimes you're just going to get air, and if you just get air, keep the air moving like that. I'm going to try it one more time. The key rule is try 3 times, and after 3 times, give it up, especially up this high, because if you go more than 3 times, you're going to do more harm than good. I'm going to try again. The key is to relax and not force it. When you have a camera on you, you tend to do things maybe a little overboard. So I'm going to try it again. See, that time I didn't overblow. The note came out. I worked with this guy when I was on a Glenn Miller band. His name was Jose. I'm trying to think of his last name. I think it was Jose Rodriguez. Little short guy. He had played in Reno for a while. He had played for Kenton. He played lead for Woody for a while. I think he took Bill Chase's place on Woody's band, but I'm not sure. But we were all a bunch of young college guys, and he was an older guy, and this guy was like articulating double high C's like it was nothing all night long without ever getting tired. And we'd all be like blowing our brains out trying to get the notes out, and he'd say, "You guys blow too loud. That's why you're not getting the notes out. And it took me till I was about 50 to get the message you're not supposed to overblow on a high note. So just blow nice and easy, let them come out by themselves. And if they don't, they don't. Okay, second valve, starting on a high B. Okay, not quite in tune, but again, just trying to get a feel. Eventually, things will fix themselves. Now we're going to start on a high C. Double high, start on a high C up to double high C, open. Oops, I'm going to start again. Nice breath. Okay, third time. Okay, so it came out a little bit squeaky, but I'm not going to try it again. I'm going to follow my own rules. And eventually the double C will become consistent, but never force it. And if you can't get those out, just try to squeak a little bit like. Even if it's just a little bit of air, just try to get your embouchure set. Okay, thank you very much. If you find these exercises are helpful and you're interested in seeing more, I'm going to go to the third section of my lesson tomorrow, and or my routine, not lesson, and show that to you. So stay focused, and if you're enjoying this, please like and follow me, and you'll get more of my posts. I also do some performance things where I play songs, but right now I'm focusing on my daily trumpet routine. And if you're interested in getting a copy, it's $40, and go to www. I'm sorry, I take that back. That's my website. I'm going to give you my email, vin at a touch of jazz.com, and you can see it in the back here. If you can't remember it, I'll also make it one of my hashtags. Okay, thank you, have a great day, and I'll come with more tomorrow.